Cool. Thank you, Lydia, and great energy today. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Yeah, my name is Ayush, and I've been at Microsoft for about 10 years now. Seems like a long time, but our people around me have been here 20, 25 years, so maybe not as much. I've been in Dynamics for the last 5 years and been leading customer insights as well as sales in that stint. I've had product marketing and software development roles at Microsoft as well, so I kind of speak to different kinds of, the sides of software supply chain. I'm here to talk to you about AI transformation of sales today. So just curious, with a quick show of hands, can you all just tell me like how to who all is this topic really timely and really really relevant?
I'll raise my hand for that, that's for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, sounds like lots of people.
Yeah, that's great. And the reason why I'm talking to you about this today is because I've been working with like literally hundreds of customers, I feel like, in the last 1 year to literally go and help them with their transformation journey. And right now we're in a place where I don't think anybody has really cracked the code for what it means to really have an AI transformed sales team. Neither have we as a vendor cracked the code on what we need to offer out of the box as a product to just enable that transformation right on day one. But what we're doing is co-innovating. We are we're working with customers to understand what they need and how can we deliver on those needs with generative AI agents in sales. And so my 15 minutes today is just going to focus on what we have learned and what we think is our vision for a completely AI transformed sales organization. And feel free to come off mute, ask questions as I go through this. I don't have a lot of content apart from just my goal is to just get you all to think about, how can you engage, your partners, your clients, or even your own sales organizations in that conversation, and how can you start taking the baby steps towards, trying out more generative AI agents as part of that. So with that, I'll just quickly talk about the problem that we see that most sales leaders, have today. Today, the revenue that any sales organization can get at the end of the year really is a function of the capacity that they have. And in lots of cases, that capacity is, this is the number of sellers that they have on their team. And so if a sales leader has to 10x their revenue, they just can't do it unless they actually 10x their sales team. And a lot of sales teams today do this expansion through adding like vendor resources, through adding like these lower cost sales development reps that may not be full sellers, but can do some of the jobs that sellers do and free up the remaining to do the selling. Now, what if a sales leader could radically grow their revenue per seller? So each seller in the team, can be attributed to more and more revenue, and the team size does not have to grow, but the revenue that the company can get can grow. Like, what if we can do that? That's the question we started with. And generative AI agents really help us find a way to finally start answering that question. So we believe that an AI first company of tomorrow, and by AI first company, I mean, either a company that is just born in AI, the world of AI, or a company that has fully transformed. We believe that this company will operate with a combination of people and agents as part of their sales team, right? And then the agents have a lot more capacity to scale on demand, scale up and down, where the people are, of course, harder to like scale up and down the same rate. But that means that the sales team has some flexibility and has some elasticity in the way that it can grow. And then they're all using Copilot, right? So Copilot is the central nervous system. Agents and humans alike use Copilot capabilities across sales, Microsoft 365, and other products. And through that, kind of operate in a hyper-productive state so that they can get more done. We believe that this transformation will happen across the whole sales process. If we think about the sales process as a combination of three core selling jobs, the first one being the top of the funnel to generate demand and qualify leads. The second one being close deals once they're in the pipeline. And then once you've closed the deal, then the third one being, growing the customer portfolio or the footprint. If you think about the sales process as a combination of those three processes, each one of those processes will get disrupted by agents doing more and more of the jobs. However, we do know that the agents cannot do everything. While the agent may be really good at being able to, let's say, research a lead that's incoming and find out more information about them, the agent cannot just like start connecting with the lead, and like selling a solution to them, or the agent cannot start like pitching and negotiating in the process of closing a deal, right? So there are certain things where the humans will still continue to function and do their best work. But then some of the overhead that the humans have to go through today, prospecting, managing all these like email and call downs to just get more pipeline, some of that can be alleviated. Uh, and for those jobs, humans will be overseeing the agents, right? Not necessarily operating those jobs, but the agents are doing it, and then humans are overseeing them. So when the agents cannot get a job done, they will ask for help from a human, but the human does not have to always be in the picture. So this is kind of what that sales funnel or the sales life cycle kind of may look like in the future. Now, some of the things that we are learning that our customers are gravitating towards or starting to experiment with are in these two categories. The category of scaling revenue with agents, and then the category of reducing sales overhead. In terms of scaling revenue, there are some examples here where customers today take like multiple hours or multiple days to engage with each incoming lead. And now with agents, they can do that instantaneously. An agent can pick up a lead and start engaging with them as soon as they arrive. And we know that time is money. And if you engage with the lead, after 48 hours, the lead is less likely to respond relative to if you engage with them within minutes. So now with agents engaging, we think that at that time, compression will result in higher rates of response and therefore higher pipeline, which will result in downstream impact on the actual revenue. In Microsoft itself, we are doing a lot of pilots where sales teams project growing revenue per headcount per seller by 10 to 20%, because now they can prospect to higher quality leads, as the agents are now the first level of deflection. The agents are looking at every lead and deciding whether or not a human should engage with them. And so the humans don't have to engage with thousands of leads a year. Instead, they do only so with a very few select leads. And then my favorite is finding money under the couch. Every single sales organization has leads that are going, falling through the cracks. The sales capacity is just not enough to get all the leads prospected, right? So 15 to 20% leads just always go untouched. And so the agent can now go and prospect these leads, irrespective of the human capacity. And if some of those leads actually respond back and start engaging, that's like finding money under the couch. You would not have engaged these leads otherwise, but now with agents, you get a very cheap way to engage with them. And then finally, reducing sales overhead. A lot of our customers have these back office, staff, or they have vendors who are simply doing certain things in the sales process. Like they're just looking at a lead that comes in with a first name and last name and email address, and that's not enough information for a seller to operate with. So their job is to go and do some research on every single lead that comes in to enrich that lead, be it the job title, be it like, what are their company's priorities? Are they looking to buy a solution that we are selling? What is their financial health? They're simply doing that enrichment. And now they can kind of eliminate the cost of that enrichment. And similarly, there's companies that are just using vendors to do call downs, initial call downs to see who responds. And the people who respond are then routed to a human seller. So again, like the agents can now be that front. So those are the kind of examples we are seeing where customers are sort of like dipping their feet and experimenting and piloting agents and finding like real money. In terms of what we have in Dynamics that customers are trying, we have 2 agents today already out in the product, and we are working on more. We have the sales qualification agent that operates on the top of the funnel, and for every single lead, it researches, it autonomously engages back and forth. If the lead doesn't respond, it reminds them. If the lead asks a question, it answers the question. And then it's always looking at the intent to buy through those email conversations it's having with the lead. And then whoever shows intent to buy is then handed off to a human seller for qualification. So that's what Sales Qualification Agent does. It's already in public preview. It has been so since April, and we have lots of customers using it. And then we have, I will just quickly go to the next one. The Opportunity Research Agent, which then operates on the deals that have emerged from those leads. So it constantly researches every single deal that comes to the pipeline, provides sellers the insights they need to succeed, and understand the key stakeholders in the deal. What are the competitive talking points? What is the health of the deal based on the conversations that are happening? And then if there's any risk that emerges in a long-running deal, because deals can run for, let's say, 5 to 6 months, it proactively flags the risk. The risk could be a competitor being mentioned on an email or meeting. It could be, a stakeholder leaving the company, or waning engagement, that you have not talked to key stakeholders for 2 months. These are the kinds of risk signals it always looks at and proactively flags it to the seller, ensuring that each deal is closed as one. And so these are the two agents we have, in Dynamic Sales today that are available for public preview that customers are using. And so I'll just leave you here with the next steps. If you're curious, familiarize yourself with these agents. There's pretty good documentation on our Learn website. And if you want to run pilots yourself or with your customers, your partners, please reach out to us.
Thank you. That's awesome. We want to. I think what you've done is absolutely perfect there. We want to give our audience, make it easier for them to know who to contact in Microsoft engineering for things that are coming. So love that you're giving everyone the opportunity to reach out if they want to run pilots, and great that there's somewhere we can go to trial these two agents. And I love the stats you had as well about the measurable impact customers are having or experiencing with these agents. So thanks so much.